Welcome, and today I'm going to take you shopping because somebody asked me in my comments. They said, how much should I spend on a guitar and an amplifier to gig with? What do I need, basic minimum, that I can gig with in a pub, club, with a live band, with drummer and another guitar player. So we can't choose like small equipment. So we've got to choose like reasonably good gear, and I'm going to give myself a budget. I got to be under £500. That's for a guitar and an amplifier that you can put in the back of your car and go and do a gig with your band for less than £500. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go shopping and show you how it can be done, because it's easy when you know how. So let's go to my computer. Instead of like me sort of going searching for products, guitars and amps, I thought I'd spare you that, because obviously you don't want me watching me surfing the web. That'd be really boring. So basically, I've got two products. I picked two things that we're going to have a look at straight away. So first thing that we need to do is we need to get an amplifier. Now I think a 20-watt valve amp is loud enough to play in a normal band kind of small club, a small bar club, small club pub kind of environment. All right, I'm going to get that out tongue-tied. Anyway, as long as it's powering, something like, I don't know, perhaps it's EL34s in the power stage. It's going to have loads. It's going to have loads of power. You're going to be oozing power. All right, you won't need any more than 20 watts really, unless you're kind of a thrash metal guitar player, where you're going to need a heck of a lot more power, a lot more headroom in order for people to hear what you're doing. Anyway, that's by no means a slur on you guys. It's just that you just need more power. So this is for like just a normal guitar, maybe classic rock kind of guitar player, right? Okay, so the first thing you need is an amp. So basically, I've already kind of, because I'm a bit of a Blackstar fan, as you probably know. There are probably other amps. Problem is, Marshalls are great. They do a 15-watt head and stuff, but it's a little bit expensive. Secondhand, they just seem to keep their price. Blackstar seem to be a lot cheaper in the secondhand marketplace. I'm not really sure why that is, but that's good news for me and good news for you, because it means we can purchase a really, really good amp, which is up there with some of the best, kind of rock amps in the world, at a very, very low price. So, anyway, so I found one here, a HT20 valve guitar amp for £260, which is great. That's like within our budget. We could maybe look at some other amps, but I'm going with what I know here. I'm going with what I know, and that's what you should do if you can. Go with what you know. I know that's going to work. I know that's going to do what I need it to do. So we've purchased. Let's just imagine now we've purchased. Let me get my pen. Right, we've purchased an amplifier now, and we've spent out of our £500 budget. Right, we've just spent £260. So that doesn't leave us a heck of a lot, really, for a guitar, but I think it's going to be enough for what we want, right? So we have got £240 left to go and find a guitar with, and believe you me, I can buy a guitar for a lot less than that will do what you want it to do. But anyway, so here's what I come up with. All right, I come up with one of these, right? So this is, it looks great, right? Look at this, it looks great. So this is a vintage V100 AFD Paradise Flame Top. So basically, this is basically a Les Paul, but made by Vintage. All right, you might say, but it's not the same as a Les Paul. Well, it's got the same kind of build. The pickups, actually, I know for sure. The pickup, this guitar has had really great reviews, by the way, and the pickups sound really good. The tuners stay in tune. That is a maple cap on there, I believe. That is not just pretty. That's not just pretty markings on there. That is actually a maple cap.
I'm told. And if it's not a maple cap, I'll eat my hat. But I think you'll find it is. It may not be a thick one, but it is a maple cap. So it's a perfectly reasonable guitar. And actually, you can go on YouTube and find people demoing these, and they sound like what they're supposed to sound like, which is Slash's guitar, I suppose. I suppose the only difference between how Slash sounds and how you would sound would be how you play the guitar. So obviously you might not sound like Slash. So don't take me to court on that. But yeah, so look, that's a great guitar. I mean, obviously I could go viewing for hours and hours and hours. I found another one. This is one I like. Here's one I like. This one here. I like this one because I like painted guitars. I like guitars. I like Blacktars. I love that. I think it's a lovely guitar. Look at that. And again, it's another vintage guitar. They are as good, if not better, than an Epiphone in my eyes. You could buy an Epiphone, but I think a decent Epiphone, to get an Epiphone as good as this, you have to pay 400 quid second hand. I don't know how much all this equates to in dollars, by the way, but I'm sure if you work in dollars or some other currency, you'll get what I mean. So, and that's a cracking guitar, and you can check anywhere on eBay, on YouTube, people doing reviews of these. No one's got anything bad to say about them. So, and I've actually played a couple as well, and I can also tell you I haven't reviewed any on YouTube, unfortunately, but I've played a couple, and they are very, very nice. The one I played was this one here, which is Vintage Icon, which was very nice indeed, and yeah, very nice. Sounded like a really old Gibson Les Paul to me. So yeah, I let this one for 90 quid. Obviously you can bid on that and you might end up paying less, but there's some cracking guitars. There's some other guitars as well that you can buy in here. You don't have to buy vintage, but obviously I'm just giving you my angle. If I was to go out, if I only had so much money to spend, these are probably the two items that I would buy. In all honesty, this is probably what I would buy to be safe. So 240 left. We got 240 left, and so we buy a guitar. What guitar are we going to buy? Say we buy this one. Is he going to charge us postage for this? Yeah, £15 postage. But leaves us £11 left over. So basically, if we have this guitar and we pay for postage on this, yeah, we're probably going to be £4 over budget. But basically, that gives you a guitar and an amp. A guitar and an amp that you can rely on, and it will work for you every single time. Okay, so you could have other ideas how to spend the money, and you could say, well, what about a pedal? Well, we don't need pedals. We just need an amp and a guitar, right? Maybe you'll have to get someone to buy you a guitar strap and a guitar lead and a plectrum. I don't know. But anyway, that's my take on it. But what I'm more interested in, what I want to know, is if you had a £500 budget, what would you spend that £500 on? And don't just write in the comments, oh, I'll buy this and I'll buy that. You need to go and check that you can actually buy it for that price. You might get it cheaper. You might be able to find the same gear that I found a lot cheaper. I dare say you probably could if you spent time and you kind of stalked eBay and stuff. Don't forget, you've got places like Gumtree, right? The point is that if you hang out in these places, you can get the right price, or you can bid. When you're buying stuff, you've got to be really careful, especially when you're buying second-hand stuff. Is that generally, if it's got plenty of pictures like this one has for this guitar, you can see that in the pictures that he's generally either... Do you know, a lot of these type of guitars, I find, and I'm sorry to jump around in my conversation a bit, but this is really important to know, is that when you buy these type of guitars, these are usually bought as presents, or somebody says, I want to learn to play the guitar, and they go, I want one that looks like Slash. So their mum and dad buys them this guitar, which is £350 brand new. They buy them this guitar, and they get the guitar, they play it a couple of times, and then they never play it again. And then they sell it for a couple of £100. And that's bad for them, but good for me and good for you. So generally, with that said, you find that these guitars have not ever been gigged. They've not ever really gone out of the player's bedroom or office or wherever. And they're usually in top-notch condition, like this one looks like it is. So you can be sure of getting a good buy. Same thing with these lower wattage amplifiers as well. You can see that the only thing that bothers me about this one is he's only got one image. The first thing I would do to this guy before I even made an offer, or I would actually make an offer, I would say, I don't know, 235 or something. But I'll be asking them for pictures, because he's only got one image up here. Although it looks great, it looks in good condition, I would definitely email the guy and say, really interested in your amp, I want to buy it, but can you send me some pictures? And will I be allowed to try it out, come around and try it out before I even if I make an offer, will I be able to try it? We'll be able to try it before I can, potentially buy it. So that's what I would do. And the same with the guitar if you can, but sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you just have to get it sent to you in a post. This one I'd have to go and see, but it's not a million miles away, so I could do that. So there. So what I want to know is, I'll repeat this. What I want to know is, if you had £500 or the equivalent in dollars or your currency, what would you buy? Okay, what would you buy based on the knowledge that you have already? What would you buy? I want to know. Put it in the comments. Tell me, because I want to know this stuff. Okay, so that's shopping online. Hope you like the hat, Tom Tobin. Anyway, right, no, seriously, put your comments in the bottom. Like me, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff, and I'll catch you later.